In the cramped compound of Mwaka, where every roof knows every secret, Musa was the kind of man who learned to value shiny things faster than loyalty. The kind of man who traded history for a glossy lie, and everyone remembered exactly how he started, because people in small places do not forget favors or betrayals. They keep them like receipts. And Musa's receipt read "Spoiled Pride," stamped in bold. He had a village wife who cooked his rough days into soft nights. She worked with hands that could squeeze a living from dry palms. She kept his old clothes mended and his name safe when he went chasing city lights. But when the city gave Musa a suit and a loud mouth, his memory did a dirty trick and pretended Zainab never existed. He hung up on her like she was a nuisance. He cut the money. He called new women by nicknames and swallowed apologies with sugar until he believed his own lies. People called him a forgetter. They spat the word like it cost them nothing. And there is nothing more dangerous than a man who thinks the world owes him applause. Musa learned this too late, when the city woman smelled of designer and empty promises, when her laughter came with a bill and her patience had an expiry date. Musa strutted like he owned the road, but he had only borrowed credit, and credit runs out sooner than a village can forgive. And when the first shoe dropped, it did so with a small, sharp sound that echoed all the way back home. So like and subscribe, drop the most liked comment and it will be pinned. Keep watching. The city did not welcome Musa the way he imagined. It tolerated him, and there is a painful difference between the two. His city woman, Nkiru, wore confidence like borrowed jewelry and spoke love only when rent was due. She liked Musa best when his wallet was thick and his mouth stayed shut. The moment his business slowed, her smile thinned like overused soap and her respect evaporated. She mocked his accent, corrected his grammar in public, laughed when his village people called, and called Zainab a bush ghost without knowing that ghosts have a habit of returning. Musa swallowed the insults because pride is louder than hunger, and he told himself this was the price of upgrading, as if human beings were phone models. Back in Umwaka, Zainab heard the rumors before the truth reached her. Women do not need confirmation to sense disrespect. It walks ahead of the news. She did not cry publicly. She did not shout. She simply tightened her silence and continued living, because survival is a stubborn skill. Musa's mother watched her son's behavior with the quiet disappointment reserved for children who grow teeth only to bite their own hands. Messages went unanswered, birthdays passed like strangers, and when Musa finally remembered home, it was not out of love, but need, because money has a way of forcing honesty. When Musa's business finally started gasping for air, reality slapped him harder than any village elder ever could. The flashy shop he bragged about was built on borrowed money and borrowed respect. And when sales dropped, the lenders came knocking with faces that did not understand excuses. Nkiru watched the drama from a distance, her interest fading faster than cheap perfume in the sun. She began sleeping out, stopped answering his calls, and when she did speak, it was to remind him that love does not pay electricity bills. Musa, the same man who once shouted at Zainab for asking for food money, now begged like a fool with no dignity left to protect. Desperation dragged his thoughts back to the village he once insulted. He remembered the woman who never asked him what he could give her, only what he needed to survive. Pride fought him, but hunger won. Musa returned to Mwaka quietly, without announcement, without swagger, and without the city accent he once forced. He found Zainab changed, not broken, not desperate, just different, stronger, and surrounded by respect he no longer recognized as his own. The compound that once bowed to his ambition now watched him with cold curiosity, and Musa realized too late that leaving a good woman for excitement is easy, but returning when respect is gone is almost impossible. Musa expected tears, questions, maybe even relief when Zainab saw him standing in the compound like a misplaced bag of rice. What he got instead was silence, so loud it bruised his ego. Zainab did not rush, she did not panic, she did not even ask why he was back. She looked at him the way people look at expired goods, with mild curiosity and zero interest. The woman Musa abandoned had grown a spine made of experience. She now ran a small but steady trading business with other women. Her voice carried weight in meetings, and people greeted her before greeting Musa, which cut deeper than any insult. When he tried to explain himself, mixing half-truths with pity, she stopped him with one sentence, short and sharp, saying, "You left like a king, you returned like a rumor." The humiliation did not end there. Word spread quickly that Musa was back, and not in glory. Old friends mocked him with polite smiles, younger men whispered openly, and even children sensed his fall. His mother did not defend him, she reminded him that character is tested when options appear, not when hunger bites. Musa begged Zainab to let him stay, promising change, loyalty, and renewed love, but promises from a proven liar sound like noise. She told him he could sleep in the old storeroom if he wanted, not as a husband, but as a guest with conditions. That night, lying on a thin mat, Musa finally understood the cost of disrespect. Because losing money hurts, but losing honor makes sleep uncomfortable. Sleeping in the storeroom did not humble Musa. It humiliated him. And humiliation is a slow poison. Every morning, he watched Zainab leave the compound with purpose, dressed neatly, greeting people who respected her grind, while he sat idle like a discarded tool. She no longer reported her movements to him, no longer sought his permission, and that freedom burned him more than anger ever could. When he tried to act like a husband, correcting her or questioning her plans, she shut him down instantly, reminding him that titles are earned, not reclaimed through nostalgia. Musa began to realize that the woman he thought he could pause and resume had continued her life without waiting for him. The final insult came when Musa learned that Zainab's business success was partly funded by the same cooperative group he once mocked as women gossiping over money. He had laughed at meetings, called them useless, and now those same women controlled loans, opportunities, and influence in the village. When he tried to join, they rejected him without ceremony, telling him plainly that unreliable men are bad investments. That rejection stung worse than hunger because it exposed his greatest fear, that he was no longer needed. Musa started plotting, not repentance, but shortcuts, and in that moment, the story turned dark, because a man who refuses to learn humility often chooses destruction instead. Musa's mind became a dirty workshop where bad ideas were repaired instead of thrown away. Instead of learning, he started lying again, telling villagers he had city connections ready to invest, selling hope like fake medicine. He borrowed money in Zainab's name without permission, using her growing respect as collateral. And when confronted, he had the audacity to shout, calling her ungrateful, accusing her of pride, as if success was a crime when it no longer involved him. That was the moment Zainab finally snapped, not with noise, but with action. She reported the fraud, returned every borrowed amount herself, and stood before the elders with facts sharp enough to cut excuses. Musa stood there exposed, a loud man reduced to a stammering boy, his lies collapsing like poorly built blocks. The village did not pity him this time. Even his mother refused to speak for him, saying she raised a son, not a parasite. The elders fined him heavily and ordered him out of Zainab's compound immediately. No storeroom, no mat, no corner. Musa left with one bag and a reputation in tatters, watching from a distance as Zainab's life continued without shaking. The same woman he once called backward had become untouchable, and the man who chased shine had lost even his reflection. That night, alone and bitter, Musa finally understood that some doors do not close loudly. They shut quietly and permanently. Musa did not leave the village with drama. No shouting, no sympathy, just the sound of his own footsteps dragging shame behind him. The city that once hyped him swallowed him again, this time without mercy. Old contacts avoided his calls, the same city woman who drained him blocked him everywhere, and the lies he used to climb became the stories people used to warn others. He tried hustling again, but trust is currency, and his account was empty. Meanwhile, back in Umuaka, Zainab's life settled into something solid and peaceful. She expanded her business, supported her mother, and carried herself with the calm confidence of a woman who survived betrayal and refused to rot in it. She did not celebrate Musa's downfall, she simply moved on, and that was the sharpest punishment of all. Years later, Musa returned once more, thinner, quieter, finally cured of loud stupidity. He stood at a distance and watched the life he threw away functioning perfectly without him. No forgiveness speech was waiting, no reunion miracle, no second chance wrapped in pity. Some lessons arrived late and refused to be gentle. Musa learned that abandoning loyalty for excitement is not ambition, it is stupidity wearing confidence. He learned that respect, once broken, does not respond to apologies, and that women who endure silently often rise loudly when pushed too far. Moral lesson: never trade loyalty for packaging. A good partner is not an obstacle to success. They are often the foundation. When you insult where you came from, don't be shocked when the future refuses to recognize you. If this story taught you something, like and subscribe. Drop your thoughts or personal experiences in the comments. Have you ever seen or experienced something like this? The most liked comment will be pinned.